Alright, welcome back to the Trading to the Promised Land YouTube channel. Today we are December 3rd, 2025, and this will be a market recap mainly of the Nasdaq. Today was actually a really interesting day, probably frustrating for a lot, but nevertheless very interesting. As usual, I'll start with forexfactory.com. So we had some 8:15 news. The time is a little bit odd, but I believe this report always comes out at the same time. It was the ADP non-farm employment change. The ADP is the automatic data processing non-farm employment change. And as you can see here, the actual number, so they had forecasted 5K jobs, but the actual number that they got was minus 32,000. So that means there was minus 32,000 jobs created lately. And I have a little diagram here that shows the change in establishment size. You can see that it's really the small businesses that are hurting. So small businesses from 1 to 19 employees, employment went down by 46,000 in the US. Businesses from 20 to 49 employees, employment went down by 74,000. Mid-size businesses, it was still green. They still hired, they still created jobs, probably lower than usual, but still created jobs. And then large size businesses, 500 and plus, also had an increase. Why this is important, and there's going to be more releases throughout the week that we need to pay attention to, but especially the employment one, because the Federal Reserve's mandate, they have a dual mandate if you don't know. The Federal Reserve works to promote a strong U.S. economy. Specifically, Congress has assigned the Fed to conduct the nation's monetary policy. So when we talk about interest rates, that's what we talk about. When we talk about especially FOMC, that will occur, the next one is on December 10th, 2025, so in 7 days. Not only are they responsible for monetary policy to support the goals, they're responsible for monetary policy to support the goals of maximum employment and stable prices. So a loss of 32,000 jobs probably isn't great, right? So we'll see how that affects the FOMC, the interest rates. Again, a couple of days ago, I showed you that there's an 87% chance that we cut rates in December. That's what analysts say, not the Federal Reserve. If you're not familiar with the Federal Reserve, I'm sure you're familiar with Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve. A lot of people have seen his face because typically you don't really want to trade when he speaks as well. Him and Trump. You don't really want to trade when they speak. If we move on to financial juice, we can see here that we had, as mentioned, we had the 8:15 news, the ADP. After that, we had more red folder at 9:15, so the U.S. industrial production month over month. We had some news at 9:45, U.S. S&P Services PMI, and then Trump was speaking at 10 a.m. Then we had crude oil inventory. So if you trade CL on the futures, crude oil, that was important news or an important report to look at. And then Trump was speaking around 2:30. So, like I just said, when Trump speaks, you don't really want to be in a position because you never know how it might go. But what actually really affected the markets today was news that came out at 9 a.m. Concerning Microsoft. So the news that came out at 9 a.m. said that Microsoft lowers AI software sales quotas. There was also the statement from The Information, which I believe it's either a newspaper or a media outlet. I'm not sure. I've never really heard of them. They said that executives at Microsoft and other enterprise software firms herald 2025 as the year of artificial intelligence, would be capable of automating tasks that involve multiple steps, such as generating dashboards based on company sales data. But as the year comes to a close, Microsoft has lowered expectations for how quickly it can get customers to spend money on these newer products. As you know, especially in the tech industry, AI has been the talk, right? Like everything is AI. It's been kind of supporting these the big companies like Nvidia. As I mentioned yesterday, Amazon is now in the AI chip race. I think Google is in there as well. So AI has been a driver when it comes to the tech companies. So news like that saying that they're having trouble, I guess, to get people to purchase or spend money on these products is probably not good for the tech industry. Shortly, I'll move to the charts right now, and you'll see how the charts were impacted by this news. But before I go to the charts, the reason why I said earlier that today was a very interesting day is because you'll see shortly that this news dropped price drastically. But we were pretty much bamboozled. We got faked out. We got duped. I think a lot of people were probably frustrated today. And probably a lot of people lost accounts, or some accounts are probably on life support right now, because not only did this news drop the market significantly, but if you weren't paying attention, there was another statement around 10:30 that said Microsoft has not lowered sales quotas for salespeople. That was a citing from CNBC. So basically, the 9 a.m. news that affected the market so drastically was not real, according to CNBC. So that's probably why when we look at the fear and greed index, we're still in fear, because as I mentioned in other videos, there's a lot of talks about an AI bubble and is it going to burst. So news like this probably doesn't help the situation, especially since, as I mentioned, the tech industry has been relying heavily on AI lately. Strangely enough, we'll go into the charts right now, and I'll explain it a little bit more as we get into the lower time frames. But so this is today. We had a green pin bar, so we still ended up green. And we could have had a bullish bias based on yesterday's candle, which was fairly bullish. We had closed over the previous high of day by quite a significant amount. I believe that we'll continue to be bullish until FOMC. We probably have higher time frame targets like this daily fair value gap here, which is also with a daily supply zone as well, right? So I think we'll continue to be bullish. There is it's probably more than that now, but there was 87% chance that the interest rates are lowered on December 10th. That's what analysts say, not the Federal Reserve. But if I'll just show some of my markings, and we can go down to the lower time frames. It's just a little bit easier to understand. You'll notice that, so here is today and here is yesterday. So it was kind of a range day, right? Like we didn't really break too much yesterday's prior high of day. We broke it by a little bit and then rejected. And then same with the low of day. Actually, we rejected at the same place. So yesterday we had this 4-hour demand zone here that we rejected from, and it's still held today. We rejected from that 4-hour demand zone that had a 1-hour fair value gap right under it. So today was just mainly a sideways day. As I said, we did break previous higher day just by a little bit. We can see more the impacts of that article in the lower time frames, especially if we go to the 1 hour. So here's the 1 hour time frame. We see that at the 8 a.m. candle, was red following that news, the ADP news, but it wasn't significant, right? Like the 7 a.m. was a bigger candle than the 8 a.m. So that news, although important, didn't do much. It's mainly when we got the 9 a.m. news from Microsoft that we had this big dump here. That's like really drastic following that news. If we go to the lower time frames, so we'll start with the 15-minute. You see here that again, it was just red, no pullbacks, just fully red, going down. So at that point, most traders, preparing for the 9:30 a.m. probably thought that this was going to be a bearish day. We broke Asia lows as well by a significant amount. Even on the 5-minute, you can see that. Just a moment here. Even on the 5-minute, you can see that there was no pullback. It was just straight down from that news article from Microsoft. But then, again, as mentioned earlier, the selling stopped around the 4-hour demand, and then there was a lot of chop going on. And chop is never really good for most traders, anyways. It usually damages a lot of accounts because there's no significant direction. So if you're good enough, you'll wait it out until there's real direction to see if it continues down or not. But a lot of people just get chopped up. It really just barcoded. There's a lot of wicks, which is never good. And then at 10 a.m., as mentioned, Trump was speaking as well, so that created more chop. And then around 10:30, we got that news saying that Microsoft did not release that statement. But unless you're looking at the news, every couple of minutes, you probably didn't know. So most likely, we're still trying to go with the initial trend, which was sells, right? So I think a lot of people were frustrated today with this price action, just because, especially that news. But it really just barcoded most of the day. There was a small, trend, not a small. It trended up, but it was like a slow grind, basically, like chop, 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 go up, chop, 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 go up, chop, 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 continues to go up. So the day was green, was bullish at the end of the day. But as you can tell, very small candles all over the place. It wasn't. It was better for people to stay out of the market today rather than trade or recuperate losses. I took some losses today. I had a couple of wins, but I had more losses, unfortunately. So I got duped as well. I got by, maybe the market makers or whoever it was that manipulated or gave the fake news. But it's okay that, we don't stop. We have a goal. We want to succeed. We just take it as a lesson. We review the charts, just like I'm doing right now. And we come back tomorrow. We come back better. So as for me, I kind of want to, I've been thinking a lot about what I want to share and how I want to share my trades. And I think I want to be a little bit more relatable to maybe newer traders as well. So I think I'm probably going to do a 50K account instead of a 150K account. I think that's more relatable for newer traders as well, because that's probably what they would go for. They're a little bit cheaper and easier to pass. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to share my trades every day, but maybe I'll share the progress. Let me know if you're interested in that. I'm thinking about maybe my funded futures, maybe Tradeify. They have a new select plan. I might go again with Top Step. I like their risk management tools, like you can lock yourself out. But they have been having some issues with Project X lately. There's also Lucid Flex that I haven't tried yet, that people have been saying they like a lot. So let me know in the comments what you recommend or what you like to see, and I'll definitely take it into consideration. If you want to see a video of me comparing different prop firms as well, I'd be happy to do so. I do like prop firms because I think they're beginner trader friendly. A lot of people don't have the capital to put into a a personal account, because it is expensive, especially futures. And prop firms usually have a low barrier of entry because it's low cost. Again, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. Other than that, as you can see here, the Magnificent Seven, Nvidia was down a little bit over 1%. Apple was down 0.71. Tesla did very well. They were up 4%. Google was up 1.46%. Amazon was down 0.87%. Microsoft was down 2.5%, likely because of that news. And then Meta was down 1.16%. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. Again, tomorrow is another day. If you lost money, it's not the end of the world. If you blew an account, it's not the end of the world. We have a goal in mind. We want to succeed. We know this can work. We just have to keep going at it. So that's all for me. Thank you, God, for another day. God bless y'all. And please like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time.